Hello, everybody, and welcome to Realty Success. We're so excited to have you today. My name is Brooke Bryant. I'm a realtor in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and I'm with you here weekly for the Realty Success show. And along with us, we have this very special guest today coming to us from New York City. We're so happy to have Adie Kriegstein, and she runs a team in New York City and is going to talk to us today about red flags when working with real estate agents. So we're going to go around the room and introduce everybody. And we're going to start with you, our special guest today, Adie. If you please say hello to everyone.
Well, thank you, Brooke. It's such a pleasure to be on your show for one. I really am just overjoyed. As you mentioned, I'm a real estate agent in New York City. I've been selling real estate for about 18 years. My team is NYC experienced team here at Compass in the city, and we sell properties all over the city and in Brooklyn.
So, what if you have help negotiating and you think that you are with the perfect broker, and then you find out that maybe they're not doing anything for you and you wish that you had somebody like yourself instead? How do you end that relationship and then move on?
Wonderful question. So back to Regina said, one and done. It's like dating. You got to make that break. And it's not easy. Some people really, they want to make things work, right? They're fixers. And it's hard sometimes for people to realize not just, okay, something's wrong here, but to take the actual steps to get out of a toxic relationship, like dating, truly. The best thing I could advise someone is, first see if you can fix whatever is going on, right? If it's a communication issue, maybe try and explain how you like to be communicated with and what you can expect and try and get everyone's expectations and communication stuff all on the same page so you can move forward jointly. If that's not possible, or if you've already surpassed it, the best thing you can do is to do your homework this time around and research an agent that hopefully you can connect with, who you feel comfortable working with, who you can specifically give them a list of the concerns and issues you had with the previous broker and say, these were my problems. How would you work through this? Or how do you work in these situations to see if you are all going to be on the same page moving forward? Since we don't have a contractual buyer's agency here, for instance, right? If you have a listing agreement, that's contractual. We only have an agency disclosure form as a buyer. It's not contractual based in terms of money or anything like that. So it is easier here to cut your ties and move on than it is if you're a seller having to get out of a listing agreement, which can be a little bit more problematic. But at the end of the day, depending on how high things escalate, you may need to get a management and higher up involved, unfortunately. I would just say if that doesn't work, it's best to try and find someone who has the communication, the skills, and in the history of performing in a market, that niche market that you want to purchase in.
And that's great advice for a client. Now, we're talking today about red flags working with real estate professionals who aren't professional. Um, so, what do you do when, let's say, you're the listing agent and you're working with a buyer's agent who is not performing and not representing their client in the best possible way, or you're just finding red flags there? Have you had that experience, and what can you share with us?
Haven't we all?
Right? I mean, first of
Mhm.
all, I feel horrible and helpless to a degree because there is that professional line where you can't cross too much between the relationship between said customer and the other broker that everyone's having an issue with because you have to some degree, be respectful of the relationship that's already there. That being said, I've definitely gotten a lot of business from being a professional throughout a transaction where that other client comes to me later because they saw how well I performed and how much I carried myself. So for anyone starting out in the business and just frankly anyone, I would say it doesn't matter who's across from you. And that's in any type of relationship within that transaction, whether it's the lender, whether it's the payoff bank, your attorney, the buyer, the seller, whomever. Be the professional because you never know what's going to come out of it. And sometimes that means doing double duty. And what I mean by that is taking the workload from the other side onto your shoulders to get the transaction done. And I did that recently. We had a situation where I represented a seller and the buyer and her broker. It became very clear early on it was not a good relationship. And we tried very hard to take over all of that workload, which again, we had to do that whole board package, frankly, which that agent should have done for his client to ensure our seller got the deal done, right? So we did the right thing for the seller by taking on the additional workload. And we also saved the transaction because we did that. I had numerous conversations, as I would advise anyone to do when you're dealing with an agent on the other side of that table who's not cooperating, whether it's just a full lack of unprofessionalism or they're not doing things in a timely manner because we have timelines that things need to be done within. Whatever the issue is, try to get them to be on your side. I've found over the years when we've had, for instance, up and down market cycles, usually in those bad markets where agents have to work extra hard. And I'm sure you ladies know the markets I'm talking about to get a deal done. The first thing I say to the person on the other side when we start to negotiate is, listen, no one is going to win here. Everyone has to give. We need to make this work. So we need to work together now more than ever. Do you think we can do that? And I say that right up front because I want to set the tone for what's to come. And of course, I'm happy to do the other work, but I want to try to make sure that I don't. And I want to preserve the relationship and have a good transaction. So unfortunately, yes, these things happen. And I would say try to communicate and remember that someone is always watching. And if you do what's right, people will notice. And they'll come back to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think sometimes when you're working with an agent who isn't necessarily a delight to work with, they're still learning. And your professionalism can help them in the long run to be better in their career and to better serve their clients in the future. So I agree that it is always important to try and come with a mindset of giving to all of the parties involved and trying to get the deal complete. I want to thank you for all of the great information you shared with us today. And I want to thank you for representing our profession so brilliantly. Adie, if you'll tell everybody where they can find you.
Yep, I'm Adie Kriegstein. So that's A Kriegstein. In addition to NYC Experience Team, you can find us. That's our website, as well as Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. We'd love to hear from everyone. And thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
It was great having you. I am Brooke Bryant out of Charlotte, North Carolina. You can find me on all the social media platforms at Ask Brooke Bryant. And if Adie has sold your house and you're looking to move to the Carolinas, give me a call. I'll be glad to slowly show you around. And it's great to see everybody. And we look forward to seeing everybody next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.